What's happening? Welcome to Griffin and Bass. He's Griffin, I'm Bass. Before we dive into everything regarding Lou Whitaker, Miguel Cabrera, the NFL appealing the Watson decision, got to remind you guys to like and subscribe everywhere you can find us. That'd be Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We got full episodes on YouTube as well as DetroitSportsNation.com. All right, Ryan, let's get into it. This weekend, legendary Tigers second baseman Sweet Lou Whitaker is being honored with a pregame number retirement ceremony. That will be this Saturday, August 6th, when the Tigers host the Tampa Bay Rays at Comerica Park. Sweet Lou played 19 seasons for the Tigers. He won Rookie of the Year in 1978. He's a World Series champion in 1984, and he's going to have his number one retired as he becomes the 8th player and 10th Tiger overall to have his number immortalized at Comerica Park. The celebration kicks off this Friday, August 5th, with a special question and answer session at Comerica Bank Big Cat Court at 5:45 p.m. You can enjoy a one-on-one conversation with Lou that is hosted by Bally Sports, Detroit's Mickey York. And on Saturday, the game is not until, the ceremony is not until 5:15. The gates open at 4:30, but if you have the time, and I suggest you make the time, from 11 a.m. until 1 p.m., Whitaker will sign autographs for fans that purchase advance tickets for the event or on-site at the D Shop at Comerica Park. You can check out tigers.com/authentics, where you can secure tickets there for the autograph session, or like I said, on-site at the D Shop at Comerica Park. What you laughing about?
That's a hell of a promo.
We do what we can here, you know. So I know this was before your time, Ryan, but Lou Whitaker and Alan Trammell, arguably the greatest double play combo in baseball history. Their number of games played together, over 1,900, played from 1977 to 1995. They literally came up together. And Lou Whitaker had to move positions for this whole situation. He was a third baseman coming out of college, and they moved him to second base, learned how to play second base, so that he and Trammell could be one of these all-time legendary duos. And most Tigers fans are, not happy that Lou Whitaker is not in the Hall of Fame, because he is one of the greatest second basemen of all time, and also mad that he wasn't honored at the same time as Alan Trammell, because they were so known together. Like I said, 1,918 games together as teammates, almost 20 years, and they were synonymous. You said one, the other came with it. No matter which one you said, everyone thought of the other one along with it. So the fact that Whitaker's number is later than Alan Trammell's, Tigers fans, feel this wasn't done correctly and that these guys should have gone in together.
And I get that, and I think it's a case, especially for Tigers fans. Detroit fans in general, I think probably all fans suffer from this, is like you overvalue your own guys. So like Lou Whitaker getting his number retired with the Tigers, it's fine. It's good for him. It's not something that I get too upset about, but I think we're quick just in the city. Maybe I don't know about the Red Wings, I guess, because I don't know so much about them. But the Pistons, the Tigers, the Lions seem like they're just quick to retire people's jerseys who were good players. Some great players, some like not exactly quite great, but on that borderline of good. And I just don't know that it's necessarily, warranted. Like 20 years with the team, or 19 like you said, that certainly gives it a giant boost. He was part of the team that won our last World Series. And I get all of that. My standard, I guess, would just be a little bit higher. Like, for me, if I'm going to retire your jersey, you have to be like an MVP caliber player. That doesn't mean you have to win the MVP, but you have to be like Isaiah Thomas was. You have to be like Miguel Cabrera, like Ty Cobb, Barry Sanders. Like, those are the guys who are getting their number retired. And while the role players on those teams, the championship-winning teams, are super important, and Whitaker was more than a role player, certainly. But, I mean, we're about to see all, 5 of the 04 Pistons have their numbers retired, and that really probably shouldn't be the case. But it is, and I think Detroit is a unique city in that we don't get so many MVP-level players here. And it seems like, at least with the basketball team, when we've won, it's been with a better collection of talent as opposed to having the Magic, the Jordan, like the Larry Bird of that era. And then, again, even with the Tigers, baseball is kind of always more of a team thing, but you don't have that superstar like Derek Jeter. Even if Jeter wasn't even if he's a little overrated himself, you know what I mean? But you just have like that face of the game on your team. And that's kind of what I think about it. So like, I wouldn't be upset if they didn't retire Lou Whitaker's number. I'm not going to be upset that they're going to. I understand why fans would want it, but I would say my last thing on it would be, it's just kind of a shame that it comes in such like a bad season, because then you always think like, is this a little bit of bad faith by the Tigers? You could have retired his number really at any point. You could have waited until you guys were a little bit better, and now it just seems like it's sort of a money grab because this is a soft spot for fans.
Right, and then that's part of the timing of this again is one of the things that's been discussed, and they kind of messed this up by doing Trammell's a couple years ago and not doing Lou's at the same time. Again, when Trammell's was retired, the Tigers weren't good then either, so they could have done these both together in 2014 when the Tigers had a really good team and there was a lot of excitement and everyone was coming to the ballpark to watch the Tigers, as opposed to now when they're one of the worst teams in baseball, and so the fanfare is not as much. But it's also obviously it's an extra ploy in a sense, to get more people to the ballpark for a game, bring some more money in a season where they really aren't bringing as much in anyway because the team's not as good. I agree with what you said about Detroit. We've kind of had bad luck when it comes to getting these MVP level caliber players, but Lou Whitaker did have the distinction of being the youngest rookie of the year of all time until Mike Trout ended up being about 2 months younger than he was when he won it. He is a 3-time Gold Glover. He is a 4-time Silver Slugger, and he's a 5-time All-Star. So he had a good career, and on many people's lists of second basemen, he is up there. And in fact, he's one of only 6 players with over 2,200 games played at second base. The other 5 are all in the Hall of Fame. Roberto Alomar, Eddie Collins, Nellie Fox, Charlie Gehringer, one of our own, and Joe Morgan. So all of them being in, it's, again, added, to the why isn't Lou Whitaker in when all these other names that he is right there with have been in for a long time. But, maybe hopefully, he'll eventually get in. He's joining a great list of names as far as having his number retired by Detroit. The aforementioned Charlie Gehringer, Hank Greenberg, Willie Horton, Al Kaline, Hal Newhouser, Alan Trammell, and Jack Morris. And both of Trammell and Morris were, obviously his teammates, as we keep talking about Alan Trammell and him being the duo that they were. So again, get on down to Comerica Park this weekend. Friday, there's a Q&A. Saturday, if you're there from between 11 and 1, Lou's going to be there signing autographs. The D shop at Comerica Park, you can get them there on site, or go to tigers.com/authentics. And on the actual game day itself, the gates open at 4:30, and the first 10,000 fans are going to receive a Lou Whitaker replica road jersey. So if you get there early, you're going to snag yourself one of these. The retirement ceremony is at 5:15. Let's stick with our Tigers for a second here, Ryan. One of those MVP caliber players that we actually did have in Detroit, although we didn't obviously draft him and he wasn't here originally, but he spent by far the majority of his career rocking the Old English D. Tigers legend, Miguel Cabrera. And this man is not certain about his return to baseball after the end of this season. He's 39 years old. He has shown signs of decline at the plate. He's been dealing with knee issues, and these knee issues have been around for a while. He was diagnosed with a chronic right knee injury in 2019, and surgery was recommended, but he never had it, and he's kind of been managing it since, and it looks like it's rearing its ugly head for maybe the last time for him.
I would be shocked if Miguel Cabrera doesn't play next year when he's owed, $32 million, regardless how hurt he is. And it seems like the Tigers, and it would probably be right by the Tigers to, even if Miguel Cabrera's on the team, if he just for real doesn't play, if he's just like Udonis Haslem of the Detroit Tigers, and they're like, hey, we're going to give you this $32 million because of everything that you did for us, we don't very much look like we're going to be any good next year. anyway. So paying Miguel Cabrera that money isn't really hurting anybody except for, Chris Illich, I guess. But I don't think any of us care about Chris Illich's wallet at this point. So it's sad, and Miguel Cabrera's going out like a lot of old players go out, baseball or not. You're going out injured. You're going out sad. You came in as a hot rod, right, as a motorcycle, and now you got a couple wheels missing, and you're limping to the finish line. In Miguel's case, literally limping. With how bad his knee is, or how bad his knee is, reportedly. And I mean, I get it. And again, next year, Miguel was going this year for the 3,000th hit, last year for the 500th home run. He's been pretty bad for a couple years, but he at least got those career milestones. Unless he hits 75 home runs next year, like he's not getting to 600. I don't even think he's at 525. That might have been a little bit generous. No. But, he's not getting to 600. He's not getting to 3,500 hits or 4,000, just whatever the case is. So, it's kind of it. And it's sad because he's a guy who has given us great memories and deserves to get his number retired when it's all said and done. Won a couple MVPs here. Got to the World Series. Unfortunately, wasn't able to win it. But gave Tigers fans more memories than just about any other player that has ever put on the old English D. So I salute Miguel Cabrera for all that he did. At one point in time, he was the best baseball player that we had going in Major League Baseball. Even she agrees. And he's not that anymore, but it is what it is. I'm sad to see him go, and I think they should give him that nice $32 million retirement package and send him on his way.
It is sad. I mean, it's really sad because, this year's been bad overall in general. But Cabrera, at least in the first few months of the season, he was hitting over 300. He got that milestone with the doubles as well as the hits. And then, I mean, since, early July, he went from hitting 308, he's hitting 132. I mean, that's just bad.
Yeah, it was the last 20 games and the first 71 he was at. 308.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just there's hitting the cliff, and then there's hitting the cliff, and he's really hit the cliff. And it doesn't help that the rest of the team hasn't been good this year either. Even without his injuries withstanding, it's hard to get up, even when especially when you're that great of a player and who's been that great of a player for so long, to be mired in just bad baseball for so many years now, ever since the last World Series run, really, for the Tigers. It's just not been really good over the most part. But, I mean, the memories that he has, brought here to Detroit, the first Triple Crown in 45 years, back-to-back MVP seasons, the Silver Sluggers, everything. It was a blessing for us. I was so stoked when we got him all those years ago. And, he helped turn around what the Tigers were and turned them into World Series contenders. We couldn't quite get all the way over the hump. Had great looks at it in 06 and 2012 and 2013 had we gotten past the Red Sox in the ALCS, but that just all fell apart. Never had a bullpen to back up all the hitting and the great starting pitching. And in the end, it's just, a whole bunch of great memories without a ring to go with it. But he did everything we could have possibly asked him to do for us. In 20 seasons now, he's still got an over 300 average at 309. He has over 3,000 hits. He has over 500 home runs. Has over 600 doubles, and he's one of only 33 players in all of history of baseball to have reached 3,000 hits, and only one of 28 to have hit over 500 home runs. So he has definitely made his mark while he was here in Detroit. In the game of baseball in general. Obviously started his career with the Florida Marlins, and he does actually have a ring with them in the 03 team.
He does,
but not with us. Not with us in Detroit, unfortunately. But to have a player of that caliber, and exactly like you said, we don't get many of them. We just don't. We've had them. Maybe in hockey we've had them. But definitely not in football outside of Barry Sanders sharing it one year with Brett Favre. Definitely not in basketball. We've never had, that guy get over the hump, whether it was, Isaiah Thomas or, anyone else. It's just, we're just not there with that.
And Dave being nobody.
Yeah.
Cade in the future, though.
No. So to have, he is, I like that. But he is one of the few that we could say it was, an MVP while playing in Detroit. So he's on a very short list on that one alone to go along with all of his baseball short lists. And I'm grateful that we got all these years to watch Miguel Cabrera. I agree with you. They're going to have to figure something out because that $30+ million price tag, I mean, that's a big one to just eat and say, be a Udonis Haslem, just show up and talk to the players. I mean, look, he's a great, like Udonis Haslem, he's a great teammate. He's a great clubhouse guy. And, I've never heard a bad thing said about him from another teammate. So he would be loved and adored, just to be there in the clubhouse with the guys, helping any way he can. Maybe it's not really a coach, but a coach kind of thing, where he can help the younger players kind of adjust more and get, better at the game of baseball. But, who knows? Maybe we get lucky and they drain the knees and, he can give us half a season next year as well on his way out. But it's going to be sad when Miguel hangs it up for good, whether that's the end of this year or the end of next year. It's definitely soon. But, I tip I'm not wearing one right now, but I tip my cap to him for what he gave us here in Detroit and what his career has been.
Yeah, he's going to have his name on that brick wall out in Comerica Park. Him and, and Verlander from the same era. And hopefully the Tigers are better when they're honoring those guys than they are, when they're honoring Lou Whitaker.
Here's hoping. All right, let's jump off the diamond and let's jump into the, I'd say the football field, but let's jump into the courtroom because the NFL did what I wanted them to do. They appealed the 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson. Ryan, how you feeling?
It's so stupid. Why would you have somebody do an independent investigation and make a recommendation if you just weren't, going to listen to them anyway? And for the NFL to appeal it, what are you appealing? Either you agree he should be suspended for 6 games, you think it should be less, or you think it should be more. And when you're the NFL, you have the power to do literally any of those things. So for them to appeal it and I guess ask the judge to go back and relook and maybe restate her case or what she thinks it should be. But at the end of the day, if you're not going to listen to it, just do what you were going to do in the first place and suspend them for a whole year. Say, hey, it's 6 games, but it's a $30 million, whatever you want your fine to be. If you're the NFL, you can just do it. So I don't understand why there is all of this posturing back and forth and, not acting shocked at the decision, I think. But, there's no reason for you to go through this entire process if you knew already you were going to suspend him for 12 games or whatever it is.
Well, I can't answer that for the NFL, obviously, but it looks like they don't want to be the full-on dictators that they actually really are anyway, and want to make it look like it's a fair shot by having all these outside people brought in to make these decisions. And the latest one now is that Roger Goodell has designated former New Jersey Attorney General Peter Harvey to hear the appeal of Deshaun Watson's 6-game suspension. He was the Attorney General in New Jersey from 2003 to 2006. He has served also as a federal prosecutor. He has expertise in criminal law, including domestic violence and sexual assault, and has advised the NFL and other professional leagues on the development and implementation of workplace policies, including the NFL's personal conduct policy. So he has been involved with the NFL before. He's been involved in sexual assault cases before, and he's going to be involved in this one. And apparently with this one, it is whatever he says goes, according to what the NFL is saying on this one, is that this is going to be the be-all, end-all ruling on what happens in this case.
I'm sure they're going to tell him what to do. They'll be like, oh, man, that's exactly what we wanted to hear. 14 games and $18 million. To me, there's still no point for all this back and forth if you're the NFL. And, even so, if at the end of the day, right, if you thought 6 games was too little, you're probably excited to be like, hey, good. It should be whatever it is, because it certainly seems like the NFL is going to give him more games than the 6 that were recommended by the judge. But that's not really my point. My point isn't, oh man, it's only 6 games, or oh man, it's going to be over 6 games. You could have just did that from the beginning. instead of going through, again, just this charade of acting like you guys were going to be hands off and that someone else, independent arbitrator, was going to come in and say, here's my recommendation, and then you guys were going to throw your hands up and say, hey, don't get mad at us, this is what they told us to do, but in the order of fairness, we're going to stick by the decision, and that's just not what they're doing. And if that's not what you're going to do, then why do you have this independent arbitrator to begin with? I don't get it. I don't like it. It probably should be more than 6 games, but I don't like the way we're getting there.
I hear you. I'm not a fan of the circus either. Definitely not. Apparently, this all could have been avoided, though, Ryan. So, did you hear this? That there was some discussions, and Watson could have avoided this whole thing as far as a settlement possibility between the NFL and his people.
No, I didn't.
All right. So apparently, the NFL was willing to agree to a 12-game ban in a potential settlement. Instead of a 1-year suspension. And apparently the 12 game is because in week 13, the Browns are playing the Texans. And they don't, for whatever reason, want Watson to play his former team. I don't know why that matters, but apparently it does. And so with them having the bye week as well, it would potentially be the actual games that count that he could not play in. And that, they had up until Judge Robinson made her decision to have a settlement done. And now, because they're going back with this appeal, this now opens up this conversation again where these two could reach a settlement and avoid this appeal situation altogether.
You don't need the settlement if you're the NFL. Just suspend him for 6 games, or just suspend him for 12 games. And then Deshaun's going to appeal, and then you're going to say nope. Like, that's the other thing, is as soon as the NFL gives out another punishment, Deshaun Watson or the NFLPA, they're going to appeal it. Because they're going to say, hey, this isn't fair. You hired this person. She said it was 6. Why are you guys looking at the same thing and now you say it's a year? It's going to be the story that never dies.
Right.
Is that game in Houston or in Cleveland, do you know?
I don't know, actually. I have to check that one out. I just knew that they were playing each other. But yeah, according to Josina Anderson, who now is with CBS Sports, Watson's legal team will wait to see what happens in the appeal, and if the suspension is bumped up to 12 games, they might just go along with it and not file a lawsuit. But if it ends up being a 1-year ban or more, then expect to see a federal lawsuit being filed by Watson's people.
Jeez. Again, the story that doesn't die. The NFL could have just left it at 6. And like I said, by week 5, people wouldn't have cared anymore.
Well, and this is so. I guess when these guys were discussing a settlement, while they wanted, the NFL wanted to suspend him for a full year, they were willing to trim it down, but they also wanted to include money. And so they were saying that I guess the final settlement offer rumored around there is that he'd be suspended for 12 games, but would also be fined $8 to $10 million. And Watson's side shot down the offer because it wasn't willing to accept any deal that was going to suspend the quarterback for more than 6 to 8 games. And Watson himself wasn't willing to accept any kind of heavy fine.
Well, and I think that's why the NFL got pissed anyway, because the Browns did some maneuvering in his contract, so I think he's only making like $1 million or something this year, and then the rest of his largest contract of all time or whatever it is for
200
for all the other years, and they were hoping that this year would be the fine, and I think that's probably what pissed the NFL off more than anything, honestly.
Yeah. Well, we are obviously watching this.
Sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
If the NFL is going to propose some huge fine, they should take those proceeds and then donate them to whatever cause it is, right? Shelter for like battered and abused women, or just like one of those causes. Because if they find Deshaun Watson $10 million just to pocket it, like that, then what the hell are you doing?
Not a good look.
What's the point just to take this man's money? So at least take it and do something good with it.
It's all around ridiculous. None of this is a good look, obviously. It's a bad look for Watson being in this situation, whether he did it or not. And I think a lot of us assume that he did do it because it's just too many women coming out of the woodwork for it to be some kind of a conspiracy. But then the NFL like you said, with this whole charade, this whole circus act of going through a legal system, but they're not really going through the legal system. They're just kind of putting it out there in the front for all of us to take in, when in reality they can do what they want because it's their league, and it's just not good. It's just not a good look at all.
No, and,
but
if they would have just from the jump said he's suspended 12 games, I get it. People would have been mad about that and said, you guys have too much power. But if you still have that power and you're just going to use it, then there's no difference.
I mean, Goodell's had too much power since he got into power. And we've seen the ridiculousness of the deflated footballs and the number of games suspended for Tom Brady involving these footballs, which when they went out in the second half and beat the tail off the Colts, even worse when they properly inflated footballs. So, what are you complaining about? And Goodell makes the owners happy, apparently happy enough to keep his job and give himself a ridiculous yearly raise while he's commissioner. They've had this power. How has it hurt them? It hasn't. The fans show up every year. Every year the NFL is making money hand over fist, and they haven't been shy in the past about having all this power and utilizing it. But now you're gonna, with these situations, pretend you don't have this power and give the power to someone else when in reality you do have the power. I just don't get it.
Me neither. And there's a lot of things with the NFL I don't get.
Well, one thing that we do get is the NFL is starting tonight, Thursday. We have the Hall of Fame game, the Jaguars and the Raiders, and you could actually bet on it. The Raiders are minus, I think, 145 or 175. I don't know about you. I am not betting on any preseason games. I'm not trusting a preseason game at all. I have no idea how long the starters are playing. I doubt they're playing for long. I am not trusting backups and scrubs who are trying to make the team in the practice squads and all that stuff. I'm not touching that one at all. I'll wait till the regular season comes around.
Yeah, I look at the backup quarterbacks and which team is better quarterback depth chart. That's the key.
Wait, is it no? Who is the backup quarterback for the Raiders?
I don't know. Because Mariota still.
I was gonna say I thought Mariota went to Atlanta.
He might have.
He was with the Raiders.
Las Vegas Raiders depth chart. This is what you call real-time reporting.
Yes,
Jared
sir.
Stidham, Nick Mullins, and Chase Garbers.
There we go. Jared Stidham, Auburn great.
That's right.
Gonna step in there and we'll see a bunch of him tonight. Not so much Derek Carr. And
we're not going to see any Derek Carr, and then we're not going to see any Trevor Lawrence either. The Jags already came out and said nope.
Yeah. Okay. Another question: who is playing quarterback for the Jaguars?
I don't know. It's not Trevor
It's not
Lawrence.
Minshew.
No, it's not Gardner Minshew either.
Gardner Minshew's
Jaguars depth chart.
Some more real live time reporting.
That's right. That's what you get, even though it's not exactly real time, because by the time you guys listen to this, it's C.J. Beathard from Iowa, Jake Luton, and Kyle Sloter.
Well, all right. Yeah. Again, I'm not touching this bet whatsoever, but. Football is back. It's going to be played at the Hall of Fame. It's the Hall of Fame game out there in Canton. It's the initial kickoff of the NFL season, even though it's not even close to the actual NFL season yet.
It is delayed right now due to inclement weather.
It's football. What are you talking about?
The game will probably still be played tonight, right? You would guess. But it's not being played right now. It's supposed to kick off at 8. A lightning, I guess, right? Because lightning's the only time that they don't play.
I guess.
But I guess they were telling fans to seek shelter in the stands.
Yes. So that would be lightning then.
A bit of a delay.
Because I was going to say, wait a minute. I watched the Eagles and the Lions play in a flat-out blizzard. Don't tell me inclement weather. But you got lightning. That's a different story. That's a problem.
Yeah. He struck.
Well, we are inching ever so closer to the football season, both college and the NFL, and we will have obviously a lot more to talk about. And of course, next week, Hard Knocks, baby, starting Tuesday, August 9th. We're going to see the inside look at the Detroit Lions, see our man Dan Campbell, who's already making the rounds as far as videos of him and leaks of what he's talking to the players about in the locker room, in the clubhouse, and getting people all fired up, all the Lions fans fired up on all the stuff that Dan Campbell's saying. So we will have a heck of a time discussing Hard Knocks while it's running starting next Tuesday on HBO, August 9th. So that should be a lot of fun. But college is coming around the corner as well. We are getting ever so closer to college game day, which is amazing. Nothing like waking up on Saturday morning, turning on a television, and just watching a whole bunch of college football. And our man, Mel Tucker, Ryan, making some headlines recently. What this man do?
So Mel Tucker has made himself a NFT, which is going to allow fans to participate, buy these digital collectibles, physical collectibles. Jeez.
There's the words.
And then the proceeds are going to be donated to the Boys and Girls Club of Southeastern Michigan. So this isn't something for him to make a little extra money on the side. It's not something that's going into like some giant NIL fund for the players. It's just a series of NFTs that will give fans the chance to purchase these items, essentially. It's called NF-Tuck.
Okay, so break this down for me, because all these damn acronyms and letters, I'm getting all sorts of confused here. So NIL and NFT, they are not the same things, right?
No, so NIL is the name, image, and likeness. It's what allows college players to get paid money to play college football. And then the NFT is the non-fungible token, which is essentially an asset that you own. A lot of them are online, so you don't hold like a physical asset. The first one that I'd heard about, it was called NBA Top Shot, which was just highlights of dunks, blocks, a sweet crossover three-pointer that you could buy, and then you could sell it. Most people did, right? You could sell it once it hits a higher price. So there's some level of value to whatever these tokens are, and I think it's sort of like playing the stock market, where if something's high, you want to sell it. But you could also buy one, and then it dips in value, and then, instead of gaining on that transaction, you ended up losing on it. But
so I was hearing that you can. So this is all about being the owner of the rights to it, and so you would actually be like the owner of this piece. However, because there isn't actually anything tangible to hold, you could also just go get a copy of one of these and use it however you want, but you don't actually own the NFT in this case. It's just a copy, and it means nothing, but you can still use it the same way you would use the actual NFT. Is that right?
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure if you're an NFT bro and you're someone who's made thousands of dollars off NFTs, one, more power to you. Two, I might sound real ignorant. You can't really like own the NFT either. So I used the example of the NBA Top Shots, which were the highlights. It's not like if ESPN posts a highlight of that John Morant dunk, now they owe you 25 cents. Like, it's just not the way it works, even though you own the rights to, that highlight, that snapshot. In that case, it's just like that little, video, the token, the asset online. So I've never super understood it or gotten involved in like the buying and selling of it. But I mean, if people are going to put some value on it, then it's something you can do to make money. It's something you can do to lose money too. But I won't say it's not valuable, because clearly that's not the case. There's a lot of people who made a lot of money off these NFTs, and I'm glad that Michigan State is getting in the game, sort of, because I haven't heard of anything similar that any other like college football or basketball coach is doing. I'm sure we'll see some copycats now that this has come out, and I'm glad that the proceeds are going to charity. It's just another way for the fans to give back, for the school to give back in sort of a interesting and creative way.
I tried to do a little bit of research on this before we talked about it, because I literally knew nothing about it whatsoever. But it seems like the majority of these are different variants of artwork, whether it's a digital drawing, a video, a GIF, whatever it may be. But that's where like most of these are coming from. So are we about to just get like a whole bunch of like Mel Tucker drawings and people are just buying those? Or is it like pictures of Mel Tucker smoking a cigar with a big hat on somewhere and like different backgrounds behind him?
I bet there will be pictures of Mel Tucker smoking a cigar. In his tweet, it also does say physical collectibles. So that sounds like that's something that would actually be tangible, that you could own if he's going to sell a helmet or a game, a clipboard, like whatever it is, right? So that would be pretty cool. And then my other guess would be, it would be a lot of like highlights from games too. So in the hype video that they showed for it, they showed a bunch of Kenneth Walker touchdowns. I think the Jaden Reed catch that he had against Penn State in the snow. Mel Tucker holding up the Peach Bowl trophy. If Michigan State beats Michigan again, you'll probably get a bunch of Paul Bunyan Trophy NF Tucks out there, and I think it's just a way to keep fans engaged throughout the season. And a lot of these people are making these pictures and making these pictures anyway, like their profile pictures. How many profile pictures do you see of Mel Tucker on Twitter from Spartans fans? A bunch, and then videos again tweeted, pictures, all that stuff. So this just gives the fans a chance to own those, and as well as obviously give the proceeds again to charity, which is the biggest part of this. And just I don't know, let fans get some, if you're even a fan of Michigan State who is into NFTs, getting kind of like that Michigan State community where then you can buy and sell your NFTs. It'll be pretty, I don't know, it might just be cooler than doing it on whatever website you would normally do it from.
Okay, so if this was available, well, I guess because they're going to be using ones from last year. You were talking about him showing Kenneth Walker touchdowns and whatnot, and obviously Kenneth Walker's not here anymore.
Video, I assume.
Right.
Going to be it there.
So if you could pick one from last year, an NFT that you wanted to get from Mel Tucker, and it'd be from a Michigan State game, a moment, whatever that they've encapsulated, however they do it for these NFTs. Which one would you pick? And I'll let you think about it a second while I tell you mine. And I'm not sure if it was Speedy Naylor or Jaden Reed, but whoever was running alongside Kenneth Walker when they dapped up real quick in the middle of him running a touchdown, that'd be the one that'd be my choice. I can't remember if it was Naylor or Reed that was running with them, but that would absolutely be my choice because I just love that moment.
That'd be sweet. I think the one I would have is the Chuck Brantley interception against Michigan that sealed the game. Mm-hmm. The one-handed, it's just a sweet picture in general. If you're a Michigan State fan on Twitter and you follow, I guess, the right people, you see that picture all the time. But it's a really sweet photo.
Now, if I could get any individual one over the last 10, 15 years, to me it's hard pressed to pick anything over the stop of Stanford on fourth down. It just the collision on top of the pile to stop them and to win the Rose Bowl is just it's just a sweet picture. There's a lot we could pick from the D'Antonio era, but that was a sweet one for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's obviously trouble with the snap would have gone, triple double platinum in the NFT streets if that was a thing, back in 2015.
LJ crossing the goal line finally against Iowa.
Yeah.
Be another sweet one.
I saw that highlight the other day, man. That's incredible. And LJ Scott ended up being a disappointment at Michigan State, but that year in that game and that play,
that march 9.5 minutes.
Always going to be, it's always going to be one of my favorite moments watching, and I have LJ to thank for that because that was sheer will and determination.
Yep. Well, we got less than a month until we get to watch our Spartans, and for you out there, your Spartans, your Wolverines, whoever you're following, they're coming back. We in August now, baby, and we weeks away, so can't wait. All right, next time we see you guys, it will be after the weekend. So I want to thank you all for kicking it with Griffin and Bass, and for Ryan Griffin, I'm Matt Bassin. As always, Wu-Tang is for the children. We'll see y'all after the weekend. Peace.
Hey, Ryan Griffin here. Thank you so much for watching today's episode of Griffin and Bass. Be sure to give us your thoughts in the comments below. Remember to click the bell to receive the latest notifications from DSN and subscribe for breaking news, community blogs, polls, contests, and other content.